God.
Call this meeting to order.
Yeah, online.
Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Please turn your cell phones to silent. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there are none.
Awesome. And I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented. motion?
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Visitor comments? Just here for fun? Welcome. Consider the consent agenda, which I don't have the thing in front of me, so the donations, somebody will help. You listed them on here, good job. Consider the minutes of the previous monthly board meeting, the monthly cash flow, including investments, monthly bills paid, the monthly bills paid in the activities accounts, donations. We received donations from the Greater American Legion for the athletic sign, a gift card from Costco to be used for health office supplies. Thank you to them. And also included is the personnel summary sheet. Would anybody like to make a motion up?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Special board reports with possible action. We're gonna start with the district promotional video presented by Mr. Chad Cool.
Madam Chair and members of the board, we talked a while back about doing a different kind of branding, our branding for all schools is a little different. So Chad started working on those videos, and the first one that he's gonna share with us is the overall district one. We've kind of updated that, and so take it away, Chad.
Yeah, so it's been a few years, and the original one had a lot of masks and all that kind of stuff on, so it needed to be refreshed. And then we spent a little more time with each school, because the next step of this is we're going to build individual videos for each school. So it'd be an early childhood video, that's its own, elementary video, that's its own, middle school video, that's its own. That'll go into a little more detail in each one of them. Therefore, when people are going to the website, if they're coming and they have certain age kids, they can, we can focus in on the things that Josh is doing down in the elementary a little bit more. This is kind of the overall district image video that we've got here, so.
Okay, awesome.
Ready?
The district's in really good shape, both financially and just facility wise, and also I think staff wise. We've been able to follow our strategic plan really well and update our facilities with some of the newer vocational areas and also the new auditorium. But we've also been able to maintain a really good fiscal accountability, and we have a good fund balance, which also helps fund those programs that we want to offer for our students and our families. So I think overall we're in a really good place. Our enrollment keeps growing. We're stable there. Obviously with students comes dollars, which also comes programs and offerings that you can have for your students.
The Pillager education journey begins in our state-of-the-art early childhood center, where our little Huskies from age 3 to 5 get the personal attention and programming that introduces our youngest to the basics of what we call Husky pride.
Research shows that children, 85% of cognitive learning is done before the age of 5. So brain development is huge in those first few years. And then the other thing is giving children an opportunity to be social and express feelings and be in an environment with kids their age.
From the Early Childhood Center, our kids climb the stairs to Pillager Elementary, where the Pillager education journey continues with a commitment to individualized learning and a family atmosphere.
The one thing I would always go back to is the relationships. And you hear that cliche of being a family, but we aren't perfect by any means, but the relationships that our staff build with kids, I have no doubt will last forever.
Middle school is the next step in the Pillager journey, where opportunity and exploration continues to grow.
It's a transition from elementary, so we get to see kids coming as fifth graders. And then we also see kids get transition to becoming freshmen. And we know we have a lot of opportunities. I kind of consider the middle school kind of like the JV of high school, so we try to offer some gateway classes and electives, and so we have that different transition. So fifth and sixth graders are treated a little bit differently as they transition, then seventh and eighth graders have some more opportunities.
Pillager High School is the culmination of our education journey. It's here where our Husky family begins to look to the future. And our school, our staff, our entire community is fully committed to providing our kids the support they need to travel down whatever career pathway they choose.
I think we go out of our way to hire staff that make people feel that they're part of something. And when you start in Pillager, you start on the east side of the school and you move to the west side of the school. And so you progress from pre-K all the way through your senior lockers are at the exact opposite end of the school. And I think really that creates a totally different atmosphere than a lot of schools, other schools that I've been at.
Because we are one Pillager family, community support for our school is second to none. Through constant upgrades to our facility, including a recent investment in new classrooms and our state-of-the-art CTC Center for Performing Arts. And local businesses partner with Pillager Schools to provide hands-on apprenticeship opportunities.
I talk to a lot of students about some of the best things you can learn, and some of the most important things that you learn in school are soft skills on how to take those out of school and work through difficult situations and work through struggles that you have in school, working in teams and working with people and working with teachers and working with other students, and then apply those skills that you've picked up along the way, those soft skills, into your next adventure, into your next job or career.
In Pillager, we are all Huskies, and we all work together to pull the sled along a one building, one family educational journey with a singular goal: to prepare and propel our children down a lifelong path of learning, discovery, and success.
But we also want them to look back at their time here and be proud of the time and have a special place for Pillager in their heart. And, they're proud that they graduated from Pillager. So, 15, 20 years down the road when they're having a conversation that, I graduated from Pillager, it was a great school, it was a great place. And that's ultimately, that comes back to that relationship building. So I think the three phases of that would be, that relationship building when a kid walks across that stage, that they know somebody cared about them here, they were successful here, and they're prepared to move on to their next phase and whatever they choose to do.
So, and then
Nicely done overall.
one of the things I forgot to mention too was that we're able to tie these kind of projects in with what we're doing in the classroom too. About 80% of that was shot by students, as we work on different kinds of shots and these things, and then I send them out and go get those kinds of shots, right? And then we have, projects that we can work on the side. So a lot of student stuff in that too. So.
I have
Very
to say
nice.
overall, I think it's great. A couple things I noticed, pointed out, the picture of the commons area down there, that was a great picture of that. There was one other thing, but I'll be honest, I'm old and I don't remember what it was. I should have taken.
One of the things Chad and I talked about it after we first saw that is, there's something that we can add is, once that whole athletic complex gets done, with the baseball and softball, with the screens and the picnic areas, he's gonna add with that part of the facilities. He's gonna go out and get some footage of that, and he can add that to it once it's all done. So I think that would be nice to put in that as well, because we've done a lot of work with those facilities too.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
One of many, so we'll have some other ones for you here down the road.
I like it. Presentation and update on 3-year-old programming.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I think you have this, you have this up on your desk. A couple months back, we had a quick conversation at a board meeting about the Fun Stop program and the family center, and space and all that. One of the comments that I suggested was, you know, the Fun Stop was looking at maybe not continuing that Fun Stop program. And then I brought up to you guys at that meeting was that would be something then that if that was the case, maybe we would look at also expanding our programming of that 3-year-old and 4-year-old programming, and what could we do to bring it back if we were going to do that before and after school daycare. So as we started looking at it, Ryan and I and Josh met with Betty, and we started looking at lots of different the pros and cons of that. We did some investigating with what those benefits and negatives could be, what some of the costs would be to do that, and then also outside services. Freshwater could do some of those for us as part of that. So we looked at all those avenues, and then we met with Betty from the Family Center. Just so you're aware, Josh and I also do sit on the Family Center board meeting. So Josh and I have a couple different hats. You know, we can look at it from also the school side, but we can also look at it as from the Family Center side, because we do get that avenue as well. So as we sat down with Betty and looked at all the different pros and cons, and we looked at different things of if we did it versus them doing it, and what were the issues with Family Center, what would be our issues and such. So we had a really good meeting after we looked at all the different pieces that I just talked about. And from that, we came up with some reasonings of what that partnership with the Family Center, which you'll see there, and I'll turn it over to Ryan here. And then also when we get done too, Josh is also here to answer any questions or to put his 2 cents in as well. So I'll turn it over to Ryan for some of those things that we discovered in that meeting, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so while we were talking and we were going through it, and some of it, again, we had collected ahead of time as we were researching what would it take for us to take on some of those programs, those pieces. But some of the things that we outlined in terms of reasons for that, the partnership and why that has worked or why continuing it would work, it has been a positive relationship. That was probably the number one thing, the first thing to look at over the last 20 years. It's been a feeder program for both our early childhood school readiness program, but also into kindergarten. Okay? The licensing piece was one that, in terms of if we were to do any kind of daycare side of things, what would that licensing look like? And some of the hoops and the pieces that we would have to do with that. That's something that's done already. Through the conversation, we talked about what if we expanded into that program and we looked at some additional 3-year program, which we'd still like to do. But if we looked at that, we probably would provide that daycare, that 16 months to 3 years, or 16 months to 4 years of age programming. If we didn't provide that, what would that do? So if we don't have that opposite the daycare, opposite school readiness, then what is that option for families? That is something where they do have that. They have little Huskies, and then we have school readiness, and they can. If a student is in school readiness, they're one day, but in the afternoon or in the opposite day, they're in little Huskies. So looking at how would we manage that, and if we didn't do it, Family Center most likely would not do it either. So looking at the other family centers around us, we're the only one in the area that does daycare. And so if they didn't have this space, they probably wouldn't necessarily continue daycare. So trying to look at that also as what do we need as a community, but also as a school district. Okay? And then one of the things that got us going in this was the conversation around Fun Stop, and if we took that piece of it, talking through more of it, could we do this? We found some solutions for spacing in some of those things, talking with Family Center, that they could continue doing Fun Stop, at least at this point as well. So those are some of the things that came out of that discussion, and came out of some of the research that we did ahead of time.
One piece of that I'd like to add to it is, if we took the Fun Stop back, the cost for us to do that would be more than the Family Center. Mainly because we outsource. We outsource our paras, and that rate would be more than what those rates would be for the family center, what they pay. So the cost for the fees of that program we would have to pass that on to the families. So those families that do use Fun Stop would end up paying more because it would cost us more to do. So with that, then our recommendation would be to, as you see there, would be to continue, since we've kind of solved out some of those issues and what we looked at and explored the cost. Our recommendation would be to continue with Fun Stop with the family center, doing the programming for that, since we figured out, I believe, the issues. The district is taking one of those rooms back from Little Huskies, which we're gonna use a 5th section of 2nd grade for that room. So, some of that rent would be lower for them because they'd have less space. Family center will continue with 2 rooms for Little Huskies. As a family center, we talked about with them, and what they talked about at their board meeting last week was that they will have to adjust their fees for Fun Stop to help with their loss of revenue. So they're gonna set up some of the things, they've looked at similar schools around us that are run through community ed programs. Some of those things would include a 2-day minimum. Most schools are at least a 3-day. They haven't done that in the past. The family center, they've kind of let families come and go, which hurts the bottom line because if a family doesn't use the service, we still have to staff it. So that's something that other schools do. And then they would do
Are
a
you
straight
talking the daycare side or
Yeah.
just the Fun Stop?
Fun
side?
Stop.
Okay, 'cause
Yeah.
there's a difference.
Per week, 2-day minimum.
Yes.
Per week.
Yeah. So if you don't use it, you still get charged for it. For example, if we're going on a family vacation for a week, you gotta pay 2 days of it.
Which is every daycare.
It
Everywhere.
doesn't, because they have to staff it and they're losing revenue because family doesn't pay that week. So that's one of the things. And then the other one was just a straight fee per day versus hourly. Most schools do a straight fee. Family center has been charging an hourly rate. So they're gonna move to a straight fee per day, like $5 for the morning, $10 afternoon, whether you're there an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because you still gotta staff it, and that's similar to what other schools do.
Yeah.
So those are a couple changes, and that will increase the revenue for the family center, which will help them from losing dollars for like they have the last 2 years. So that was one of the things. School readiness will continue with the 4-year-old programming. But one of the small classrooms that we're gonna use will be identified for a 3-year-old ECSC instruction. And I'll kind of let Josh talk about how that came about. So we are going to do a little bit different piece that kind of came up with that conversation is we did want to do some things for our 3-year-olds. So I'll kind of turn over to Josh if you can kind of talk about what that might look like.
Right, so the upcoming school year then, what's now our OT PT room in the early childhood, it's across the hallway from the 2 4-year-old school readiness rooms. We're just going to repurpose that. So Alyssa Anderson is our 3-year-old early childhood special education teacher. She'll utilize that space to provide some individual skills, some small group skills with those young early childhood special education kids. And then they will transition into the classroom, into the 4s school readiness rooms. That's where they'll get their classroom time with typical kids and things like that. So that's how we use that space. Prior to this year, we partnered with that Little Huskies 3-year-old room. And that's where those kids were. And it was more of a co-teaching between school-based programming and Little Huskies. Now this school year, what we've done is rather than combining with the Little Huskies room, is they've been in the 4-year-old school readiness room. And so Alyssa Anderson co-teaches with Kayla and Liz, and then works with those kids in that classroom. So it'll still be similar to that, but what we realize is with the needs of some of those kids, it will be good to have a space where they can get some of those individual skills away from all of the stimulus that goes on in the 4-year-old rooms. Questions on that?
Anybody have any questions?
So that's going to be our recommendation to you guys. It's going to pretty much stay as is. There's some tweaks that we'll do for the 3-year-olds based off of what teacher recommendation and Josh has how they would like to see it work a little different, a little better to meet those needs.
Does that
Not a big
actually-
change.
Does that actually come to a vote? Or,
No, I think it's more an FYI, because I know some of you've gotten some emails, and if you get some emails from parents as to, you know, why did this change or why did that change, might give you a little bit more of a background. Not a huge change to, you know, we had talked about, you know, having to take back before and after school daycare. One of the other things we were worried about is if we don't offer that opposite daycare during the school day, if the family center doesn't do it, schools don't do daycare during the school day. And then all of a sudden, if you try to do your own 3-year-old or 4-year-old program, especially 3-year-old, because it might not be every day, we'd lose less kids. We wouldn't be able to service as many kids. Plus, some of those families may not come because what are they going to do on the opposite day? Because we don't have daycare for them. So to sit here and say, well, we're going to do our own 3-year-old because we can make it. All of a sudden, you don't get the need, as many kids sign up, and then you're kind of, don't have enough kids to offer the program. So there's a lot of what ifs that you don't really know about, if that makes sense. So our recommendation from meeting with everybody was to kind of stay as is with those few little tweaks. And the family center met last Tuesday, and they're fine with it. They're going to continue it with those fee changes and some restructuring that hopefully not lose the revenue that they've been losing.
So I just have one question for Josh. When you see, or either of you, you said you're gonna repurpose for the 3-year-olds. Am I understanding correctly that when the 3-year-olds go into the 4-year-old class, then the person, Ms. Anderson, would go with them?
Yes.
So they'll have extra help, so it's not adding more students onto the teachers?
And yeah, so it'd be the same as it is this current year.
Okay.
And then there would be program educational assistants as well to assist with those kids, depending on their IEP. But yeah, it would basically, the only change for what it will look like versus what it looks like now would be having a designated space where she can take kids when they need to do some of those individual skills or small group skills, and then transition back into the classroom. Otherwise, it'll run exactly the same as it currently does. Answer your question?
So basically, it must have came out in the conversation that the family center wouldn't consider building their own stuff on their own land instead of what they.
Correct. They're not, well, one thing that I should add to this in the very bottom, future exploration, I still think that the district and the family center should still need to continue to look at somewhere down the road, we're still gonna need space.
That's why I was
Yeah.
asking
So
why.
they're not
they
interested in
consider
building.
Since
and
they
they're-
have the land.
They're gonna sell that, I think that's the last conversation, because the location of that, it wouldn't be a very good location. Main Street, there's no parking, it's not a good spot to put kids, so it's really not a very good location to have it. That's kind of what I think we talked about. But the one thing that we did talk, what my recommendation to the Family Center Board and to us would be to continue looking, a lot of school districts will use lease levy to rent or possibly purchase a facility that we could use for early childhood and or daycare facilities. So our lease levy that we did to build that early childhood ends in 2034. So it's quite a few years, but there's some things that you can do into, maybe you could rent some facilities. A lot of districts will lose, like, we don't really have that so much here, but a lot of school districts in bigger cities will use strip malls. They'll purchase that or rent that, refurbish it for early childhood or kindergarten centers, things like that.
Well, that's one of the reasons I asked, because they have a lot, and then there's an empty building there, and there's a lot behind where they could connect around or use the middle for a play park, so I was looking at it as a great option for them, and they.
I could bring that back to them, so, yeah. There was some concern that we did have a gentleman from Sourcewell, no, that was, never mind, that was the pet park. I got that confused.
That is the land on top, oh, yeah, is that where they're gonna
Yeah.
put the,
Well,
cause I heard there's gonna be a dog park in town.
we looked into that as
You're
well,
gonna
but
put that
there
on
was some
Pet
issues with
Cemetery
liability because private, we talked about, another conversation, but
Okay.
we did talk about that too. But there are some other facilities, we're gonna have some realtors look at some different things. It doesn't have to be we have some time to grow there, but I think somewhere down the road, the school might still need to look at a facility like that where, I was trying to think of that.
Place you where we can take ours.
What was the building out there? Was it the old furniture?
It was the old furniture store.
Yep.
That's out here.
That's what we're just
Somebody,
discussing.
That's what I just said.
yeah, somebody bought that and used it as, we're gonna look to see if it's, I don't even know what it is right now.
It's a storage building, and they're not interested in selling
Selling
it
it.
as of the last time.
But anyway, something like that, so.
About 6 months.
Oh,
So,
That was still not interested.
but something pops up or somewhere down the road, I think that's something that the district has to continue to just look at.
All right, any other questions on that? All right, facilities.
Did not meet.
I don't have anything planned right now for that, so we'll see if something comes up. But
Personnel, we did not meet either.
we will meet in either towards the end of May, and I'm kind of waiting for when I have principal contracts done, but looking for completion of that Pillager Ed Minnesota contract. So hopefully sometime in May, we'll meet.
Free of that one.
I'm busy towards the end.
Curriculum.
Right.
Ryan's got stuff. I already warned him.
And while he's starting
She
to.
said I could have 30 minutes.
Yes, I told you you could have 3 whole minutes.
Five
We
minutes.
will need to meet the week, we will need to meet the curriculum committee the week of May 15th. We'd like to meet prior to the DLT meeting. So maybe we can look at your 2 schedules to see, it's a long ways out, but maybe already that can work this time or not. Kind of looking for that week.
All right. You have just a little update report. I'm gonna let you have that and you can read through it. It's just some updates on testing. Summer school update, just kind of where we're at right now. And the 2-factor or multi-factor authentication, that's the article that I included as well. The most recent data breach was Rochester Public Schools. And so kind of the rationale why these things are moving forward in terms of security around our systems and our data. The other thing, number 5, is the high school catalog. And I wanted you to have a copy of that, and so you have those as well. So you can take a look if you have any questions about that, certainly ask. What I'm gonna do tonight is continue our program presentation in terms of every month picking a part of our program that we do. And so tonight we're gonna look at Catalyst in terms of our student management and what we do for professional development for teachers. And you're going to see just a brief example of this, that the implementation looks like in the elementary.
Ryan, before you start that, can I add 2 things? The course registration book that you have there is, I think, one of the nicest registration books that I've ever seen for a smaller school especially. And they do a really nice job on that. That's really nice. The second thing I want to add, while Ryan pulls up the Catalyst approach and the video for that, several years ago, when we started my journey here with you guys as a board in the school, I used the conversation, I know Sarah and I've had this conversation several times. It's like a 3-legged stool. You can't put all your baskets in one egg. You have to look at it curriculum wise. You have to look at it as
All eggs.
Eggs in
eggs in one basket. Thank you. I'm a little confused. But then the other piece of it is the curricular side. What's your curriculum? You can't be teaching 12-year-old math curriculum. And the third piece is, what are you doing for your teacher staff development wise? And we really weren't making any of those investments that I could see when I got here, other than class sizes. So we really did a nice job, I felt like, taking some of those dollars, tweaking it a little bit, putting money towards curriculum. I think we do a much better job keeping the curriculum updated, but then also our teachers are able to do things. And Catalyst is one of those things that if you walk into a classroom with 25, 26 kids and see, well, you might say, well, that's a lot more kids than maybe we had years ago. We might only have 22 in there. But the skills that those teachers have now to manage those kids because of Catalyst, I'm amazed at every time I go in there and watch what they do. So this is part of that piece of that 3-legged stool.
I have a question as a parent.
Yep.
So with the college credits that we offer, can you get your AA
Yes.
with all this that's in here?
Yes.
Okay. That's my question.
I knew that because my kid did.
Perfect. All here.
All right.
All
I'll play the video, and then any questions you have, Josh is here to answer questions as well, in terms of how we implement Catalyst, and certainly any other questions you have.
And we also tag team with Sourcewell to be a demonstration demolition.
Not a demolition squad.
It's a good thing we're rushing him.
Oh, yeah, you're trying to make me hurry. I'm worried Sarah makes that concert.
You know, if you wouldn't schedule him on school board nights.
I know, I tried
Hello,
to.
I'm Sasha, and this video is to give you some background information on the Catalyst approach. The Catalyst approach was created by Nancy Burns and her creative partner, Jackie Brickman. Between Nancy and Jackie, they have been in 50,000 classrooms, along with each of their teams, of which I'm a part of, who go into 7,000 classrooms per year. Now, while in these classrooms, what Nancy and Jackie were looking at were patterns that caused frustration for the teachers, for the students, for the principals, for the staff as a whole. Inequities and confusion. Once they found these patterns, what they created were skills to disrupt them. So the work that we do is teaching the skills to disrupt the frustration, inequity, and confusion found in classrooms. The ways we do that are through first whole group trainings, starting out with our whole group classroom leadership training, and then looking at advanced trainings beyond that. Then moving into supporting implementation through coaching and feedback in the classroom. Another way to support the implementation is for teachers to go to a Catalyst Live demonstration visit where they have the opportunity to see teachers implement the skills in real time in the classroom while one of the coaches is labeling the skills. The next step for school-wide implementation is to look at leadership support as well. So through all of the training and the supporting of implementation and the leadership support, our goal, our objective that we're trying to reach is to make sure that school is a safe, productive place for every child that goes there. Groove without
In this short video, you will observe Ms. Foreign finish a whole group lesson and set her students up for success with their independent work. She will purposefully utilize Catalyst skills in order to save her words for curriculum and relationship, empower her students to be independent, and maximize learning in her classroom. Some of the Catalyst skills will be labeled for you as you watch. When Ms. Foreign was done with her lesson, she signaled for the class to move to new carpet spots. While they transition, she silently cleans up, calmly walks to the whiteboard area, and gets ready to explain the directions. These directions are called the to-do list.
You are going to do this first.
As Ms. Foreign explains the to-do list, she purposefully looks and points where her students need to be looking.
3 details and pictures. Deal?
Deal.
Okay. Then you're gonna do IXL TGU.
TGU. Ms. Foreign indicated that her students were to repeat the IXL skill by holding out an open palm, pointing and pausing in between each letter. This skill is called Signal the Mode.
Let me give you a little sneak peek of TGU. It says, what does ancient mean? Use nearby words to help you figure out the meaning.
When Ms. Foreign goes through a couple of IXL problems, she again looks where the students are to look. She signals the mode for them to raise their hand by raising her hand. The Signal the Mode skill increases predictability and safety because students are shown how to interact with their teacher and curriculum.
What does dreadful mean? Use nearby words to help you figure out the meaning. The cookies were good, but the cake was dreadful. Mm-hmm. What does images mean? Use nearby words to help you figure out the meaning. Look at the images in this book.
When Ms. Foran returns to the to-do list, she will explain what the students will do when they are done with the required assignments. The activities at the end are continuous tasks. This allows the teacher extra time to support students while keeping all of the students engaged in curriculum.
When you finish, you're gonna do fix and finish. If you are all done, these are your choices. You can also do the challenge. Do this if you understand your assignments.
When all of the directions have been explained, Ms. Foran has students give her a thumbs up to indicate that they understand what they will be doing. This skill is called check for understanding. Ms. Foran selects her students by giving them a piece of paper instead of using her voice. This is a strategy called silent select. You will notice she smiles, winks, and or makes eye contact with students, letting them know it is their turn to come get a paper. She hands papers to approximately 3 students, then pauses to maintain a calm and quiet movement. When students want a hug or need to have a quick private conversation with Ms. Foran, she honors their request, privately supports their need, and continues to select students with a smile. There may be times that she too needs to quickly touch base with a student. She may want to give them a pep talk, confirm understanding, or just check in with them. Silently selecting students provides natural opportunities for this. Once all of the students have their papers, they're getting ready, getting settled, and are beginning to work, Ms. Foran decides to have even more visual support by projecting the paper onto the smartboard, as well as have it in the directions on the whiteboard. Ms. Foran has gone near the directions in case she needs to give someone nonverbal guidance on the expected tasks. She will smile and stay until all of her students are engaged in the work to let them know that she believes in them and their ability to be independent learners. This is called setting stamina. Once every student has started independently, Ms. Foran decides to provide one-on-one coaching. She slowly moves to the child, approaches the child from the side, gets down to her level, and has a brief private conversation. This is called leading and empowering students. Ms. Foran's eyes are on the work most of the time. However, there are times she makes brief eye contact and smiles. The smile helps her stay connected with her students while also encouraging independence. Having a to-do list provides students autonomy to be independent learners. They know that if they need to refer to the directions at any time, they can. This helps them focus on producing high-quality work instead of trying to remember all of the directions. Multiple students can be observed referring to the directions as they are working. When Ms. Warren decides to leave the child she is working with, she watches and looks back at least 2 times to confirm that the child continues to be engaged on her own. This skill is called linger and look back. In this short video clip, you saw Ms. Warren use Catalyst skills to set her students up for success. She visually displayed and explained a to-do list, she checked for understanding, and she set stamina. These skills help students feel more successful, independent, and included in the classroom community. You also observed her support success while students were working independently by using the skills called lead and empower and linger and look back. These are just a few Catalyst skills that our Pillager teachers intentionally implement every day.
So a couple of things in particular, as we were looking to make these videos, we had some conversations with the Catalyst group as well in terms of making a series of videos or making some larger pieces. One of the things that we decided is we could give you a snippet, a piece of it. We actually had 3 different teachers that we had videotaped, but to break that down was really difficult to not show you some of the skills that they do. A lot of times making these videos or making that professional video too, you kind of look and think, okay, did they have that stage? Did they have that piece of it? This one in particular, I just want to show how polished Alice is in the classroom. We walked in and started videotaping. I mean, this is just embedded in everything that she does. And so those skills, and those are the use of those skills capitalize and gain so much time. And maybe Josh could talk more about, in particular, of that savings of time.
Haven't we been using this program for a while, but they called it something else?
Yes, so
We got
Catalyst,
Jules.
yes, formerly known as Unway.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions about Catalyst?
Well, yeah, do you get Jules anymore? Because they were pretty.
I don't think there's any jewels involved. Maybe we should get jewels.
What, 2 things that I was, well, actually a couple things. One, I was in on a small group with Corey Anderson and was one of her observers. There were 3 groups of teachers in one small room, all working with a small group. And all 3 of them were using those skills, and not one group was bothering the other group because they were all just focused. You had 4 or 5 kids in each group, and I was sitting there going, this is amazing, because you got 3 small groups going on in a small room, and none of them were bothering each other, and the kids didn't care what was going on in that other group. They were just right in on this, so that's amazing to me. Number 2, I wish I had that when I taught elementary school, because the organization and chaos is completely different compared to when I taught. Third thing is Ryan and I filled in a first grade classroom. It takes 2 of us to do it, by the way. So we were short of salt one day. So Ryan and I went in there, and I kind of, I'm former elementary background, and Ryan's a high school math teacher. So I kind of let Ryan take the lead right away. And the first thing he did was he gave him a couple directions, and
I gave him options.
We gave him options. The next thing you know,
school kids.
he had 22 kids. And like, you obviously have never taught elementary school, Ryan.
No.
Let me take this over here.
It was even better because the look was, what are you doing?
I was like, you lost them in about 30 seconds.
Yep.
So I said, okay, guys, come up here, sit down.
Yep.
I got it back. You can tell the difference of a high school teacher versus elementary. But the Catalyst training of even like a former teacher like 20 years ago or 30 years ago would have never had those skills to keep 24 kids focused and moving and doing the things that they need to do on task. So they're awesome. It's just awesome stuff.
I believe the ones here used to have that.
But I can't imagine why.
Wasn't me, I never got
So
it.
why didn't you show the videotape from the day you guys were in that?
I've got-
Yeah.
You know,
I
there-
have still
Yeah.
photos, I don't.
Yeah. We're lucky it's only still photos, so.
I wanna add though, that when you look at, because Ryan touched on it, hallucination is that this is staged or that this, there's no question that there are harder days, but by using the strategies and being a high implementer of the strategies on those harder days is what saves time or relationships in curriculum. And so I think that's important to know. All of our elementary teachers, to some degree, implement Catalyst strategies. Alice, Mr. DeBoli, Mrs. Anderson, we have about 8 teachers that are demonstration teachers. They are the highest, the highest level of implementation. And so that's where teachers from other districts will come in and observe. They're the demonstration teachers. So, yeah, like I said, there are 8 of them. I didn't name all of them.
And the district supports the program too, because we have 3 onboard Catalyst coaches, 4 now, 4. So we supply those with a stipend to help the other teachers do that. So the district has some, dollars behind it to keep it going and keeping it, invested into.
If you include maybe the 5, but I don't have much.
Very cool. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yeah.
May 11th, we do have a Catalyst Live, and actually May 5th is a support day. So on the support day on May 5th, if anybody wanted to come and observe, let me know.
And we do have some middle school teachers that still do it, and we do our EAs can get the training as well. And they do get some extra salary if they go back and get Catalyst training too, which helps them with those skills.
All right. Policy.
We did meet. So we have
Thank you,
the,
Ryan.
Yes.
we have the first reading of policy 412, which is the expense reimbursement. And when we met, hold on, let me pull it up. So this came about with the nationals when the ProStart came through and just updating the policy for student and advisor teacher travel. And Randy, Mike, and I met and just looking at other school districts, updating the policy. You can see in there, A, B, and C, just basically making sure that we're in line with other schools, which would mean that student expenses such as meals and lodging would be the responsibility of the student or group if they go to national. But for state, we would still follow the Minnesota State High School Week. Randy, do you want to add anything?
The only thing I would add is the nationals, we do cover the advisors and coach.
Yep.
For they're working, same thing we do with section 2. We updated that a little bit because I don't think the section was covered for section coaches or advisors either. That didn't really define that very well. And the conversation there was they're technically working. So if they're working through the day, they should get reimbursed for meals or something like that. And this is in line with everybody. Basically, we still are paying a little bit more than most. Most schools don't do anything for nationals. We still do the coaching salaries and advisors. There was one other one, Sarah, if I can remember. Wadena pays for coaches.
Wadena,
Yeah. What's that?
Elk River and Wadena.
The Pequot. Pequot paid, well,
No, I think you're right. I think it was all for
so, but we're paying a little bit more than most. But it's a little bit more updated and kind of gives us, it comes up again.
Hopefully it does.
Yes.
All right, budget.
We did not meet, perfect, but
We will meet first part of June, sometime when we need to do the budget and a couple other things.
Sissy.
Make it short and sweet.
Beautiful.
Legislature updates. We're still waiting on some unemployment. They want to push through unemployment for any employees that are not 12-month employees. That we're blessed in that aspect because we outsource a lot of employees, so it wouldn't affect us a whole lot. Maybe, I think there was like one employee that accounted that it would affect. There's also an increase for prep time that's in the legislature, so that would greatly affect us. And then they're looking at some special ed cross subsidies, which would affect us as well. So still waiting to see what comes of those items. Budget update, as of right now, we are about 73% spent budget, so we are right on track. So we wanted to be a little less than 75, and we're right there. I've already started the budget for next school year. And then just to touch base on some summer school funding. So we were able to apply for some summer preschool funding, and we were awarded that for $6,800. And then we also were awarded $6,200 to continue our STEPS program. But there was extra funding in the pool, so if districts so wished, they could reapply and potentially get more funding. So of course we reapplied, and so we got an additional funding, so we're up to about $35,000 for summer school funding. So it allows Ryan some
Good
room
job.
to plan
Good.
for summer school.
I like it. Cool.
So that's what I got. Any
Awesome.
questions from?
Questions for Missy? All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I see now that I didn't notice before that activities is not listed here, but I assume
You didn't
we
meet.
need.
Yeah, did we forget that?
So, then other, nothing,
Nothing.
superintendent's report.
Okay, couple things. Mentors that have been working with our elementary kids. The mentors will be attending the Twins game on April 29th, I think, as a thank you for all their hard work. So Foreign Shells is donating the drive time for that. We're paying for some of those tickets out of different discrepancy accounts through mine, some of the Wade's and Josh's. So we're taking all the mentors down to Twins game for their work all year long. Kevin Hines, who is a survivor from the Golden Gate Bridge, is coming to speak to our 7th and 8th grade and then also our high school students on May 3rd. That event is sponsored by Smiles for Jake. I guess he is a phenomenal speaker, so we're excited about that.
Will that be open to a public
Um,
also or not?
not during the day.
The school.
He is doing some evening speaks for,
But not here?
no, I think it's in Brainerd.
So there is, the school ones are not open for the public. There's 3 in Brainerd, at the Woods that are open to the public, an 8 AM and a 5:30 on Tuesday and then a 5:30 on Wednesday.
I can get that info out somewhere too, and I'll ask them for that, but unfortunately for ours, we'll be full with ours, but, when we hold ours. Arbor Day celebration, April 28th, which is a Friday. We do have the plant sale, which is from 11 to 6 PM. So people that want to come and buy their plants, that's a very well-attended event for our community. Prom and Grand March is on April 29th, that Saturday, which starts at 7 PM. Pro Start has an online silent auction fundraiser for nationals right now, so that has been advertised on our Facebook. So there's lots of different things that people can go on and bid for those items. That closes on April 21st. Summer school registrations are starting to fill up. We're finishing up the different camp offerings that will be in the afternoons for those 3 weeks. We have some band concert on Monday, May 1st, choir concert on May 8th. Educators of Excellence recognition from Sourcewell, that is going to be on Wednesday, May 3rd. Our representatives are Penny Grimsley in the elementary, Tatum Shee in the middle school, and forgot to write it down, high school. English teacher, Jamie Brax, thank you. Spring sports, obviously they're trying to get going. It keeps snowing on us, but we did get some games in last week. I'd like to congratulate Claire Hardy, 2nd place, and Lily Wood, 3rd place. They qualified for the state speech contest. And we also had several others qualify that made it into the final round. But so speech team did a nice job for the amount of kids that we have in that program. MCA testing starts this week. 3rd and 4th grade spring music concerts are on Tuesday, April 25th in the afternoon and evening. They will be sending out QR codes sent to the families They will be able to get up to 6 tickets for that event. And our weight room equipment, hopefully by this Wednesday, the new weight room will be all up and done and redone. I'll take photos and send that to all you guys. Some equipment's came in, others will come in on Wednesday, some of the mirrors will be in tomorrow. So it's been repainted, flooring's been done, so looks like a brand new room, still a little small, but the equipment will be all dated as well. So that'll be kind of nice to have that all done by Wednesday. So that is all I got.
Anything else from any other board members? And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
So are we